Iceage are a post-punk band from Denmark, and they have been putting out some pretty fantastic post-punk albums over the course of this decade. Their debut, which came out back in 2011, 2011, what a great album that was as well. Also, the 2013 album, You're Nothing, gotta be my least favourite of theirs. Don't think it's one that I return to that much. Think it's a good album, but I don't think it's great. And then their 2014 album, Ploughing into a Field of Love, which I think is fantastic. Probably their best album to date, I must say, honestly. Frigging great. They became a little bit more accessible on that album. The vocals were a bit more audible. They honed in their lyrical style too. It all became a little bit Nick Cave and the Bad Seedsy. The imagery they were able to build up, the lyrics were just fantastic. Everything about it just seemed perfect, really. And now here they are, 4 years later, quite a big gap since that album, and they have a new album out. Beyondless is Iceage once again knocking it out of the park, I think. They're kind of becoming that band that I don't really have much criticism to say. It's not really a bias, I don't think. It's just that each album has quite a different sort of sound and different elements to them that make them so fantastic. They're sort of evolving, but they're still keeping that sound that makes them so good in the first place, and every time they come out with something, it just sounds great. Here on this new album, I'd say the throttling drums on this one give it more of a punk sound, a more of a traditional sounding punk sound, but I would still say it's definitely rooted in post-punk. I mean, their aesthetic certainly feels punk anyway. I mean, the vocalist has these drawling, lazy vocals. He sort of like goes on every track. There is melody though, it's not like he can't sing at all. And even though the lyrics aren't exactly like punk, you know, this isn't an Idols album or anything like that, but I think like the sort of laziness to the singer and the attitude of him, just the way he sings, feels very much punk. They're going against the grain, I think. Every album they try and do something different that cements them in this post-punk world, but also puts them out of the world as well and makes them progress the sound, which to me is punk in itself. Doing something out of the ordinary, adding sounds that other punk bands or post-punk bands wouldn't add. I mean, there are certainly some ideas on this album that I don't think many other post-punk bands would go for. Different instruments being added to the mix, different layers in the production. It's just all really great. I would definitely say though the second half is where the album peters out. I mean, it's not quite as exhilarating as the first half, but I wouldn't say it's any less exciting or less interesting, should be the better word. I'd say I still am hooked on what they're doing. I think the idea of the first track is really interesting as well. I do think that the idea that he goes for on this track with the sort of like, you know, how we are innate to just want to attack our neighbours, because he tells a story through being a soldier, but he also states that, you know, the idea of this track is kind of like, well, no matter who we are or where we are, we'll always have this rivalry with other people, and it kind of makes us violent in nature. A really interesting idea and kind of accurate to a certain extent too. I mean, we're not out here to kill everyone, but I do think there's that sort of idea that we are competitive with other people very often. And yeah, I think him telling it through this soldier just adds so much more aggression to it that I think it really needs for this style of music. Sky Ferreira comes on the second track, great backing vocals. Didn't like her debut album at all, and she seems to have disappeared as well. Is she coming out with another album or what? I don't even know. Did she come out with another album and I missed it? Probably, I don't know, but that album came out ages ago and I hated it. But her vocals were something that I thought were never really that good, but matched with the singer of Iceage actually works well. They blend together so well, like it's like she's needed for this kind of production, and I wouldn't mind them collaborating more in the future too. I think it actually made this track really good. I already did a reaction to Catch It, Catch It, Catch It, which I thought was a really strange track. It had this really weird, ominous like moving drone across the whole thing, which gave it such a strange sound. And this is what I'm trying to say with like this band. I mean, this isn't something you would expect from other post-punk bands around. I mean, Protomart are another great band that I think are in this genre that are doing good things, but they're certainly not as adventurous or as weird as this, I don't think. The Day the Music Dies, really interesting track. I mean, it's really catchy as well. This is probably their like most catchiest track on the album. Not the catchiest track they've ever done. I think that's still Lord's favourite, which is fantastic. Gonna be hard to top that song, to be honest, from this band. But for this album, I'd definitely say that that's certainly one of the highlights. And yeah, I think there's not much else to say. I mean, musically, I think they've got it down to a T by now. They've just got everything that you want from this kind of music and more. Like, they're adding different things each time that's making them like more and more compelling. Sure, I don't think it's as good as Plowing into a Field of Love. I think that will be definitely their like magnum opus as years go on. Just because of how they were able to blend different ideas on that album and make it accessible yet still be like having that tortured post-punk sound. I'd say this album is a little bit more dirtier though in its production, and I think that will definitely go down well with a lot of fans, for sure. And the throttling rhythms across this whole album, yeah, I mean, it's certainly a step forward in their sound, but still keeps things original and fresh. I think it's still similar to their other stuff, but yeah, you can still make out what the singer's saying and become interested in the ideas that he's coming out with, which I appreciate. He's a very talented songwriter. The musicians in this band are extremely talented too. Definitely check this band out if you never have. I certainly would highly recommend them. And yeah, great album. B plus I'm gonna go with. Yeah, not much else to say. If you like this album, let me know. Let me know your thoughts on this album if you don't like the album. What's their best album as well? Tell me their best album. I think you're gonna say Plowing. Definitely is gonna be the popular choice. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Have a good day. Catch you, catch you, catch you, catch you, catch you.